What's happening, y'all? Welcome inside the Fantasy Stock Exchange. Danny and Bush coming at you with our second NFL mock draft, our March edition mock draft, if you will. We're going through all 32 teams, and we're making a draft pick for them. We're going to have trades in this mock draft. It will just be a first-round mock draft. Unfortunately, for those of you that don't have a first-round pick, then might not appeal to your team. But we're going to go through and try and fix these teams. This is going to be a mock of what we would do, not necessarily what we think the teams are going to do or what we think is going to happen in the NFL draft. This is as if we were the GM controlling these teams.
100%, as Corey mentioned. Again, this is my favorite type of mock draft. Deep down, let's be honest here, the NFL draft isn't going to happen exactly the way you envision it, the way you picture it. However, we're making the mock draft. We're having fun with it. If we want Zach Wilson to go number 2, damn right he's going number 2. That's a little prelude. We'll see what happens. But with that being said, before we get into it, we're going to hit the intro on y'all. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to start off this with the first overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And Corey, who are you taking at that number 1 spot?
Oh, yeah, quick rules of the mock. As I mentioned, there is trades, and I will be controlling the AFC. Danny will be controlling the NFC. Sometimes we'll have to trade with amongst each other. We are doing this live. We don't have this pre-written down of who each guy is taking, but as I'm going to do, as the Jaguars are going to do, I'm going to pick Trevor Lawrence. We're talking size, athleticism, arm talent, everything that you want out of a college prospect Trevor Lawrence has. They are not going to overthink this one. They might ruin him as a quarterback with the coaching staff they've assembled, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to take Trevor Lawrence, quarterback from Clemson. He's going to be their franchise quarterback for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and again, we're not here to tell you that Trevor Lawrence is the perfect prospect we've ever seen. Again, he does have flaws to his game at times. You mentioned a little bit at times with the inconsistent deep ball, a little bit at times with the simpler system. But let's be honest here. You got the tangible traits with this guy with the size, the speed, the athleticism, and the arm talent. And you got the intangible. He is one of the smartest quarterback prospects we've seen in many years. The Jaguars can't do any wrong here. Take Trevor Lawrence, build that franchise. You got your franchise quarterback to do so. So I totally agree. And you're going to be back up on the clock here at number 2. And I'm just going to quickly make a phone call to you, not particularly with this pick, but with a player on your team that you may be interested in moving because of your pick.
Okay. Oh, so you want Sam Darnold?
San Francisco 49ers are offering our second round 43rd overall pick to the New York Jets in exchange for Sam Darnold.
You know what? We are actually going to take that. I think we're going to take that. And after we take that, I'm not sure what order they would do this in, but we're going to take Zach Wilson, quarterback from BYU. I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft, so I'm going to roll with that pick. I also think he's a tremendous fit for what Mike LaFleur and Robert Saleh are probably going to bring to the table, which is that Kyle Shanahan wide zone bootleg type of scheme. He can give you everything that Jimmy Garoppolo could not in San Francisco, and that's ability to throw from varying arm angles, make plays on the move, and create out of structure type of play. But the New York Jets' next task will be to get those type of athletes and type of separators on their team to help complement their young quarterback from BYU. I think this honestly is probably what's going to happen, in my opinion. I think the smoke is real that Zach Wilson's QB2, according to the NFL, and I think the Jets are probably going to end up doing this.
100%. And now you're looking at it. You mentioned you want to add speed, you want to add versatility to that offense and build around Zach Wilson. Well, now you have the 23rd overall selection and 3 second-round picks to add that scheme. We're talking about a guy maybe like Eli or Rondale Moore in the second round. It makes a ton of sense for them. Mm-hmm. I like this. You get your young quarterback. You have 4 or 5 years to truly build a full arsenal around him before his rookie deal is gone.
I think they should do so in free agency as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, free agency happens before the draft. So if I was the Jets and I knew, I'm sure they know whether or not they're going to take a quarterback at 2, you go out, you make a push for a guy like Allen Robinson. If you don't get Allen Robinson, maybe you make a push for a guy like Corey Davis. You got to go and add some receivers. You can't rely on Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims, and whoever else is on your roster. You're going to need that alpha type receiver. And personally, I think it's going to be tough to get that type of receiver at 23 and have him be reliable right away. So I personally, if I was the Jets, would go out and sign an alpha receiver like Kenny Golladay, like Allen Robinson, like Chris Godwin, maybe even like Corey Davis, and then maybe also draft a guy at 23 or in the second round and double up at the position.
I fully agree. Also, Curtis Samuel would make a ton of sense in terms of a versatile type receiver that can fit this offense as well if they don't end up with an alpha.
Offense, but I also think that still leaves you with the same problem. You
That's
still
fair.
have to draft an alpha receiver.
Yeah, 100%. So, anyways, Trevor Lawrence number 1, Zach Wilson number 2. You're now on the clock again with the Miami Dolphins, the division rival of said New York Jets. And what is your plan here at number 3 overall?
Does anyone want to trade up by any chance?
Looking at it, the Carolina Panthers are interested in this 3rd overall pick. So let me just look at my trade value chart to kind of determine what type of offer I can make in this move up. Okay.
We also have another call, just for the record. The Denver Broncos are also interested in this pick.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna have to steal your heart with this offer. So the Carolina Panthers for the 3rd overall pick are interested in giving said Miami Dolphins 1st round number 8 overall this year, 39th overall, our 2nd round pick, and our 3rd round pick this year, and our 1st next year. So 1, 2, 3 this year, 1 next year.
Yeah, deal. Yeah, we're taking that. So Carolina Panthers are now on the clock. Miami Dolphins have slid back to the number 8 overall pick, and we'll also have an additional 2nd rounder, 3rd rounder this year, and then a 1st rounder next year from Carolina. So a pretty hefty price, but I'm guessing this is a quarterback tax that they just paid. So who's Carolina picking as their next signal caller?
Carolina is taking quarterback Justin Fields from the Ohio State Buckeyes. I mean, we've mentioned it multiple times. This guy's ceiling on any given play, on any given game, may be just the best in this class. I mean, you're talking about this is an athletic beast. In my opinion, either 1st or 2nd best overall rusher at the quarterback position in this class. And when you're talking about it, this guy gives you really everything that you look for from a traitsy quarterback that you can develop. And with Joe Brady and Matt Rule in town, guess what? They have the true franchise, the stability to be able to develop a guy like Justin Fields. You mentioned it. He can play out of structure. He has a great arm talent. We saw that 60-yard bomb against Clemson in the semifinal. Not many NFL quarterbacks
can broke his ribs, nonetheless, too.
Not many NFL quarterbacks can do that. Never mind college quarterbacks. I mean, this kid, we've seen it. He came into to the NCAA as the number 2 overall player in his recruiting class, only behind Trevor Lawrence, as we mentioned. Number 3 recorded quarterback of all time in the metrics. So we've known he's had the talent for so long. Finally broke out these last 2 years with Ohio State. I think his transition to the NFL, if he gets with his right staff, if he could really work out those little kinks to his game and improve his overall consistency, who's saying he can't be the best quarterback to come out of this class? Like, as much as I love Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields got legitimate top 5 quarterback in the league type upside. And if you're the Carolina Panthers and you got those playmakers, you got that coaching staff in place, taking a chance on a guy who can do as many things right as Justin Fields will is ultimately going to be the pick here. So price tag is hefty. You get your guy, Justin Fields, number 3 overall. Nobody's complaining if he turns into the franchise.
Yeah. No, I have no qualms with that pick. I think the trade up is worth it for a guy. I mean, you're Carolina. You've had a guy like this with this skill set for a long time. With Cam Newton is actually who I compare Justin Fields to, and I think he has that kind of rushing potential. And I also think he has the arm talent, and he's probably a more accurate passer than Cam Newton ever was too. So, yeah, the sky's the limit with this dude. And you mentioned the nest that they have, the great ownership, great coaching staff. You didn't even mention DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, whoever else they add to that offense with a pretty stable offensive line as well. That could be that's a very favorable situation for a young quarterback to be in. And I can tell you right now, as this is a fantasy channel, Justin Fields would be my quarterback 1 in fantasy if this were to happen. So to the next pick we have here, and the Falcons are they got the shit end of the stick, to be honest, because I don't know why. I just don't think they'll like Trey Lance all that much. I'm not really sure.
I think they'll love him.
You think they'll love him?
Eh? Well, think of what Arthur Smith had to work with in Tennessee. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is good playing out of the pocket, is good playing on the move. Trey Lance's best ability, in my opinion, is being able to roll out and throw darts on the run. Because let's be honest here, you got a 6'4", 230-pound quarterback who could play out of structure with a howitzer, with athleticism. I mean, Arthur Smith's offense is the perfect blend of that to really encapsulate and project forward. Now, as I mentioned, I kind of already spoiled the pick, but the Atlanta Falcons, they're not taking Micah Parsons. They're not taking any other defensive player in the class. They are going to get their next franchise quarterback, and that's going to be Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State, similar college, as you guys all know from Carson Wentz. Now, really highlighting Trey Lance's game, I already talked about, but talking about the situation as to why the Falcons would be smart in taking their next franchise guy. Matthew Ryan, or that's so weird. Matt Ryan it actually has a release from his contract, or an out, if you will, for the team out of that huge guarantee money that they gave him a couple years ago after next year. You have the 4th overall pick in a loaded quarterback class this year. Why wait till next year where the class isn't going to be as good? The following year after that, where, like, okay, DJ Uiagalelei looked good this year, but let's be honest here. Are we really going to try to project a guy like that 2 years forward? Are we really going to try to project this team to have top 5 capital 2 years forward? No. You take the guy in Trey Lance, who we all have graded as a top 15 overall player in this class, easy 4th or higher quarterback in the class. I just think this is a no-brainer. You're in this spot. You have your franchise in your face. Take him. Trey Lance. Don't think twice about it.
Yeah, and as a one-year starter, Trey Lance could use some time to sit and learn from a veteran like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan probably, if this pick were to happen, I'm sure Arthur Smith and the Falcons brass would sit down Matt Ryan and be like, hey, dude, this is your audition for your new team. So we like this kid, but we're not going to pull the plug on you mid-season. You get the full season. We're going to let this kid redshirt. I want you to teach him what to do. I want you to play your heart out and play for your new contract, because you're going to get released next year or traded or whatever. And we want you to go to a situation that is good for you. Maybe, I don't know, some other team that wants a veteran quarterback. Maybe they just need, like Washington or something a year from now, needs to get over the hump. They bring in a guy like Matt Ryan who's got playoff experience or something. That could be a very favorable situation for Atlanta, and I think they'd be wise to get their quarterback now. And instead of waiting for Spencer Rattler or Sam Howell or something next year, where, in my opinion, from what I've seen from those guys, are not even as good as the 4 in this class.
I agree again. And you mentioned, if Matt Ryan has a bounce back year next year, guess what? That could net you a Matt Stafford-like trade package. And
yeah, exactly.
If you're getting a couple high picks to really build around your next franchise quarterback in Trey Lance, you have the infrastructure in place. You have the talent on the outside. Get this kid in that situation and let him develop behind Matt Ryan for 1 year. I think this is a slam dunk, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but anyways, I believe this has never happened in NFL history. And I think in our first mock draft, we had 4 straight quarterbacks going off the board to start. But this is just how highly we think of this quarterback class. We think it's that good. And the Cincinnati Bengals, of course, are going to be in the dream scenario of picking Penei Sewell, offensive tackle from Oregon. Get your quarterback on his feet and not on the ground with it holding his left knee. Joe Burrow coming back, he's going to need protection. The Bengals are, I know a lot of people think the Bengals never invest in offensive line. They have. They just haven't hit on picks. So I think the Bengals would be wise to pick a very safe lineman, and I think that's what Penei Sewell is. I know he is somewhat of a projection. I know a lot of people have said he's got a very high ceiling and whatnot. Maybe Rashawn Slater might be better right now, but the intangibles, the size, the physicality, the feet, that
you can't teach what this kid.
Yeah,
you can't teach what he has.
And if you have any faith in your coaching staff, this is like, in terms of a ball of clay of prospect, this is like grade A, like clay that you can get your hands on. So
fine clay.
If you can't develop this dude, you might have to fire offensive line coach.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're talking about the natural talent that this guy has. We've been talking about this guy as a second-year player in the Pac-12. Just so happened to win best lineman in the country. I mean, that just tells you the immense potential he has. He started day 1 on campus for Oregon, has proven ever since that he is that athletic freak that we all want in our left tackle prospects. And, I mean, you're talking about it, functional strength, good feet, really like underrated smarts, like for a guy with his natural ability. I mean, I think 5th overall is honestly his floor in this NFL draft.
I do too, yeah. Mario Cristobal was on NFL Network, and he just like couldn't stop. Like, he's like, they're asking him things like, is he a smart player? Yeah, he's the smartest player I've ever coached. Is he a physical player? Yeah, most physical. Like, he just like couldn't say enough good things about the guy. And again, this is a guy who had Justin Herbert as his quarterback 2 years ago. So
yeah, now he gets Joe Burrow, same class.
Yeah, so this is a dude that is pretty safe, in my opinion. He's a pretty safe offensive tackle prospect. I think he's going to go in the top 5, as you mentioned. Who's on the clock next? We got the Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean, I hate this team with all my passion, but I'm not going to screw them over here. It's going to be Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. Again, although Devonta Smith is my number 1, I think Chase is ultimately the best fit for what the Eagles need. The Eagles need a true alpha outside receiver that can really do more with less, if you will. Again, I'm not discrediting Jalen Hurts whatsoever. You guys know I liked him last year. However, Jamar Chase gives him such security on the outside in terms of his physicality, in terms of his ball skills, in terms of his yards after the catch, that the Eagles haven't had a receiver like this pretty much since when Jeremy Maclin was in his prime. And if you guys remember Jeremy Maclin, 1,300-yard receiver, could do stuff after the catch. The Eagles haven't had a presence like that in quite a while. And as you've seen, I mean, we're talking about the Eagles and lacking pass catchers really since what? Even when they won the Super Bowl, people were like, oh yeah, it was the tight ends doing most of the work. And now Sean Jeffrey on the outside. Guess what? Jamar Chase, I've comped it multiple times. I still think if Justin Blackmon didn't have those personal demons, he would have been a superstar in the NFL. Well, guess what? Jamar Chase doesn't have those type of demons. He's going to be a superstar in the NFL. You could touch about him a little bit too, because he is your wide receiver one, my two. What are your thoughts on Jamar Chase and the fit here with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, I honestly think he could go as high as third pick to Miami, maybe even fourth to Atlanta if they could see a lot of AJ Brown in what Jamar Chase brings to the table. I've mentioned it on numerous occasions. I think this guy has that physical yak monster ability, because he had a year off and we haven't seen him play football. Obviously, he might have added 5 to 10 pounds and be up to 215. If he's that kind of size, if he's that kind of physical, then he's going to be a DJ Moore, Chris Godwin,
Des Bryant,
DJ Brown type of clone. Yeah, Des Bryant. Like, he's got the contested catch ability. He can do it downfield. He can do it short. He's everything you want in a receiver prospect. He's super young still too. And he has a long way to go, obviously, to get to the point that I think he can get to. And I think he has the potential to be one of the best in the league. So, yeah, the Eagles need a receiver. This makes a lot of sense. I know Kyle Pitts has been mocked here in the past. I personally just don't think there's a lot of coaching staffs in the league that I would trust to use Kyle Pitts correctly, especially if they have a tight end already on the roster like Dallas Goedert, who is a solid tight end. I don't really like the Kyle Pitts to Philadelphia fit personally, but Kyle Pitts definitely worthy of going to that pick, and he's not going to go off the board here, I would imagine, because Detroit already has another great young tight end in TJ Hawkinson. But who are they going to be taking at 7?
Still losing Marvin Jones. You got Jared Goff
and Mohamed Sanu and every other receiver on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jared Goff. Yes, we don't really believe he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. Maybe around that, we'll say 13 to 16 type area in terms of what we believe his ceiling is at this point. But you got to do everything in your power to be able to surround him with outside talent and maximize the output that he can give you. And how do you do that? Let's just get him the reigning Heisman winner, and that's Devonta Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. I mean, the fit here is immaculate. I mean, you got the route running, you got the hands. He is the most complete receiver in this class, in my opinion, because, again, you mentioned the physicality, the outside contesting catch ability of a Jamar Chase. Devonta Smith, don't get me wrong, is not Jamar Chase in that aspect, but when people talk about Devonta Smith, they never talk about his ability to go up and get the ball for a guy of his frame. Yes, he's 175 pounds. I don't give a flying rat's ass if he's making catches like he did against LSU this year. I mean, this kid is phenomenal.
Also, he can add weight. People pretend like he's going to be 175 pounds his entire career. Like, I don't know if his frame can handle being 190. It's like, what do you mean? If he gets 6'1", 190, he's the same size as Calvin Ridley, and no one gives a shit about his size. So
wasn't Chad Johnson playing at 180 pounds?
Yeah, dude, he was 6'3", 180 pounds.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. But we're talking about Detroit needs ready-made playmakers that can contribute right now and really give Jared Goff that ultimate weapon. Because let's be honest, if Kenny Golladay isn't on the field, we didn't really have any dependable targets on that team. If Kenny Golladay misses any time, I can tell you right now, Devonta Smith will have no problem operating as the number 1 in that offense. And getting him here at number 7, coming into the season, you would have been like, wait, what? Detroit has Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay? Like, why would they take Devonta Smith, who got outproduced by Jerry Jeudy, blah, blah, blah? No. He proved this year that he is a legitimate alpha potential type receiver. And getting him here, slam dunk pick, in my opinion, for the Detroit Lions. But with that being said, you're back on the clock here with the recently traded down Miami Dolphins. Who are you eyeing here at number 8?
I'm really debating taking Jaylen Waddle here, to be honest. I think that's like a great pick.
I sniped you, didn't I?
Before, and I kind of like it the more I think about it. I think I'm going to take Kyle Pitts.
I like it.
Yeah, so I know they have Mike Gesicki, but, like, let's be honest. Is Mike Gesicki going to stop us from taking Kyle Pitts? No, absolutely not. If Mike Gesicki becomes a move tight end and a slot guy, that's fine. But you need as much help you can get for Tua. And in my opinion, Kyle Pitts is too good of a prospect to, I wouldn't say reach on Jaylen Waddle, because I think he's a great player too. But I think Kyle Pitts is everything you want in a weapon, a pass catcher. Whether you use him split out wide, which he did routinely at Florida, whether you use him in the slot, whether you use him in line, this dude has the potential to be a Jordan Reed, George Kittle, like that type of receiving talent at the position. Because Kyle Pitts is the type of dude that can absolutely take the top off of the defense. He can make plays happen after the catch, and that's not a thing you can say about a lot of tight ends in the league.
Yeah, no, Kyle Pitts is absolutely special, and we talked about it multiple times, but if he was considered as a true wide receiver in this class, he may very well rank in that top 3, to be quite honest, because
he has a higher grade than any wide receiver that is in this class.
Which goes to show you, like he, in my opinion, he's a top 3 overall player in this class. And if you want to say, oh, well, tight end's not as valuable, I don't give a flying rat's ass if this guy's going to be an all-pro talent at his position, provide Darren Waller type upside. You mentioned,
okay, I'm not 18. You want to come up and get Jaylen Waddle too? You probably could, but I think Kyle Pitts is the best skill position player on the board, and you need help for Tua, so I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts.
I love it. I love it. So we're back at 9 overall on the clock here, the Denver Broncos. And what are your thoughts here? Actually, before you make the pick, I actually saw a report that Ben Albright said that the Broncos are the most interesting team in his bias to watch. What he said is he either thinks they're going down or they're like up. Don't that he said don't pencil in a cornerback for this team because the buzz he's hearing is that they want to move badly. They want to move either up or down badly. So
really?
Yeah, again, like it's your pick. I saw that like today or the other day, and I'm like, wait, what? Like that's
and I agree with them. I think they are going to try and get up, and which is why I tried to get up to 3 or to 2 with Denver. But I think they're going to be kind of shit out of luck here, and they're not going to be able to pick a quarterback here. And I don't think Mac Jones is worth this pick in the slightest. So
I agree.
I am personally going to go with Caleb Farley, who I think is the best corner on the board.
Smart.
Maybe they don't do this. Maybe they do trade back in this kind of scenario, but I think Caleb Farley is still a blue chip player in this class, and I think he's probably the last remaining one, in my opinion, in this class in terms of blue chip talent. Maybe Rashawn Slater's a blue chip talent in this class, but I'm going to go with a very important position, a position they need to get younger at, and a special athlete at the position on the board.
Yeah, 100%. So now I'm looking on the clock here, and man, I'm in a tough one. I do like Surtain. I do like J.C. Horn. But I'm trying to determine what type of trade spot I can look at here. Maybe a team. Nobody's really going to move up from Mac Jones.
I have a trade partner.
Who?
I want to come up from 13 to 10 with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Jaylen Waddle, eh? I like it. Really?
No, Rashawn Slater's on the board, and I want to come get him.
All right. I can do it for your 1 and 3.
All right, deal.
All right, deal. We'll do that. So
So the Los Angeles Chargers, now effectively from the Dallas Cowboys, are on the board. And we are going to pick Rashawn Slater, who I think is a top, according to everyone that I trust, is if not the best offensive tackle in this class, he's a close second. And when you have a position of that importance and a player of that talent level who's going to be even remotely in the conversation as Penei Sewell, he must be a very good player. So I'm going to take Rashawn Slater to protect the blind side of Justin Herbert.
I love that. So now the New York Giants are on the clock here, and they're kind of their lucky stars, in my opinion, because I view, again, as much as I like Rashad Bateman, Jaylen Waddle just adds such a factor to that team. Talking about a guy who can really give Daniel Jones a reliable separator, which is
like
absolutely what he needs right now. God. I think Jaylen Waddle to the Giants is one of the best overall fits from a schematic standpoint in the entire draft. Get Jaylen Waddle to that team. Give Daniel Jones that type of weapon on the outside that you can really mold into that true game changer. Again, this is a cliche statement, because I do think he's still going to be a ready-made fantasy football type contributor. But what Jaylen Waddle does for your offense from an NFL standpoint isn't just matched by his overall numbered output. Because as much as people want to dog on Henry Ruggs this year, Henry Ruggs significantly affected that Raiders offense when he was on the field. And I think Jaylen Waddle, again, you don't want him to produce 700, but Ruggs was hurt. Like, we're not going to fucking judge him for that. He's going to affect that offense tremendously. You're talking about guys like Evan Ingram, who can't really get open at this point. Darius Slayton, who, yes, he's good, but he's inconsistent at times. Getting a guy like Jaylen Waddle, absolutely makes their lives easier. So you plug him in, number 11 overall for a guy who is probably going to end up as a top 7 or 8 overall player on my total board. That's how much I absolutely love him.
I think you got to give Daniel Jones a chance. Daniel Jones is at that teetering point where Baker Mayfield was last year, and what you need to do is probably sign a receiver also, but you also need to draft a young receiver. You got to get this guy a chance to like throw the ball to someone who's actually going to get open, because we saw in week 1 when he was getting berated by the Steelers defensive line because his O-line couldn't block anybody and no receivers were getting open. Like, you can't expect any quarterback to succeed in that situation. If Dave Gettleman wants Daniel Jones to work out, he better go sign a receiver, and he probably should draft Waddle or Pitts, whatever one is there at 11. And I think Waddle makes a ton of sense, because the biggest problem for the Giants receivers last year is because none of them could get open, and Jaylen Waddle ain't going to have that problem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, I mentioned how good his teammate at Alabama is at separating. Well, guess what? I mean, Jaylen Waddle is okay, because Javonte Smith gets open because of his route running. Jaylen Waddle gets open because of his absolutely ridiculous movement skills. I mean, we talked about it in the recent prospect battles. This kid is just a different type of athlete.
He's smooth as butter.
I love that. So that being said, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock here.
Stars.
And, man, I don't know, though.
They have to pick Patrick Surtain. There's no way they would not pick Patrick Surtain here.
It's between him and Darrisaw, bro.
I know you want Surtain for the Cowboys. That's why you're doing
I actually wanted. I like Horn. Okay, fine. I'll give them Surtain. Patrick Surtain. I mean, we all know what he does at Alabama. I mean, he is a phenomenal corner. Arguably the best overall player at the position in this draft right now. Again, I do think Caleb Farley's ceiling is higher because of those twitchy movement skills. But you're talking about a guy. He can be that press man corner for you right off the bat. It's probably limited to cover 3 or cover 3 or cover 1. I don't think he can step in right away and play a cover 2 man for you, because I don't know if his twitchiness is on par with that. But let's be honest here. You just had Richard Sherman. You get a guy like Patrick Surtain that can really fill that Richard Sherman role in your secondary. I think that's going to be a phenomenal fit. So I'll give them
an easy time too with the pass rush that San Fran has coming with Nick Bosa off of injury. You're going to have a lot less time to throw with that front, so it should make it easier on Surtain.
100%. So with that being said, I'll give them Patrick Surtain Jr., cornerback from Alabama, and the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock here. And as crazy as this sounds, okay, I'm going to be taking Horn, but I'm looking at this from an overall perspective. If you get reports in these next few weeks that you're unsure about the health of Tyron Smith going into this draft, Christian Darrisaw has to be the pick here. Christian Darrisaw, as good as Slater and Sewell are, I think Christian Darrisaw is not that far off. I mean, you mentioned a big, athletic, smooth mover. That's exactly what Christian Darrisaw is. But with that being said, we're going on the assumption that this team has gotten the reports. Tyron Smith feels healthy. He's ready to go. If that's the case, you can't invest into O-line in the first round, in my opinion, because you're trying to win Super Bowls out here. So with that being said, going to take J.C. Horn, quarterback from South Carolina. I mean, we saw what this guy was able to do this year. You want to see dominant cornerback tape, just plug in J.C. Horn versus Auburn. I don't think Bo Nix will ever want to face this kid again, because he actually left like legitimate scars. Man, speaking of Seth Williams, or speaking of J.C. Horn, like Seth Williams was absolutely out of that game. But anyways, 3 interceptions. Anyways, J.C. Horn is a feisty press man corner. He's going to get in your face. You're talking about a guy like Carlton Davis in the next level, who's truly thrived in that role of just being able to get in your face, get in your head, press you off the line. Yes, he's a little bit handsy, but at the same time, that's something that you're going to learn as a young corner. You can't just absolutely maul guys at the line of scrimmage.
And he got penalized for it when he was a younger corner too. He's learned it now in his 3rd season.
And I do think Horn's going to have that kind of learning curve. But let me tell you, I mean, this kid's tape is phenomenal. He's sticky in coverage. He's feisty at the line of scrimmage. He's a guy that really, you're talking about Trayvon Diggs on the other side. You get 2 physical, aggressive corners to play in the cover 3 scheme that we anticipate Dan Quinn running. I think this pick would be a slam dunk for Dallas, and especially too, you're moving down, you're getting a 3rd round pick, and you're still getting, in my opinion, a top 3 corner in the class. I think it's a no-brainer for them. So I'm going to be taking J.C. Horn.
Okay. Yeah, I like that fit. And another fit that I really like is the Vikings have the worst interior O-line in the league, in my opinion, and I'm going to take Elijah Vera-Tucker here. I think
it's my pick, but yeah, I was going to take Vera-Tucker as well.
Oh, shit, you are. Yeah,
anyway, you're good. I mean, I'm looking at it.
Vera-Tucker's a guy that I've heard continuously talked up by people that are plugged into what teams are thinking, and the media or whoever you want to call it seems to be lower on this guy than the NFL is, and they think he's going to be a very, very high pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it because I was gonna pick him regardless. I mean, you're talking about Vera Tucker. This guy's got legitimate 5-position versatility. I mean, he played left tackle this year. He's played guard in the past. Has right tackle consistency. You don't want him to be matched up against true edge benders like, I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau, for example, if you guys know who that is. You don't want him on a guy like that. However, I think this guy could be a day one type of upside starter at the guard position. I mean, I'm not going to compare him to a guy like Zach Martin who made the tackle transition to guard, but let me tell you, I mean, I do think this kid in the right scheme, in the right situation, does have Pro Bowl level potential on the inside. And getting him here at 14, if you're the Vikings, you want to protect what you got on offense. I mean, Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, got the receiver on the outside with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. I do think that Elijah Vera Tucker helps that offense really stay intact and consistent on a greater degree. Because let's be honest here, I think it was who was their starting guard, left guard, was one of the worst graded in the league this year. I think it was
Elfline.
No, it was oh my god, man, I think it was Dozier.
Either way, their guard situation is bad. Was it did they have the Wisconsin kid? Is it
Dakota
Edwards?
Dozier? Yeah, Dakota Dozier. He was one of the worst graded guards in the entire NFL this year. So you're getting a guy in Vera Tucker who can slide in left guard day one. And it's not the best line, but I mean, you're talking about a line that has Riley Reef, Vera Tucker, Bradbury, Cleveland, and Brian O'Neill. That could be an upper level type offensive line.
You know, Kirk Cousins can't handle pressure, so you got to keep pressure out of his face. And obviously, your offense runs through Dalvin Cook, so any kind of upgrade to the run blocking game, I believe Vera Tucker can provide that too.
Yep.
So
100%.
I am now on the board here, and it's an interesting spot for the Patriots. I really don't know what route they're going to go, to be honest. They seem like a team that could actually take a gamble on a guy with character concerns, personally. So I'm going to go with Micah Parsons here. And the reason I'm going to say that is because they've done it in the past before. Like Bill Belichick has the culture of the Patriots way and all that stuff, right? And I think if Parsons does have all the character concerns of hazing and attitude problems, maybe he's not committed to football or something like that, they're going to sit him down. They're going to figure that out. And maybe some teams will just look at the surface stuff. Bill Belichick isn't going to do that. And if he sees some potential in this kid, he is willing to stick his neck out on the line for a really talented player who might be one of the most talented players in this class, regardless of position. So I'm going to go with Micah Parsons for the Patriots.
Yeah, no, I like it. Anyways, we're going to get into the following pick with the Arizona Cardinals. And they are absolutely bummed out that the top 3 corners are off the board here. But guess what? There's a team that's going to be willing to move up just to jump another team that has a similar need at the position. They're going to drop down to number 20 overall with the Chicago Bears. And again, I'm not a huge Mac Jones advocate. I have him graded as a late second. I think there's a tier break after the top 4 quarterbacks. However, this guy's going to go in the top 20 of the NFL draft. Yeah. We have to anticipate it. And while this is a what you would do type mock draft,
it has to be realistic.
It has to be realistic. So I do think from the Bears perspective, they think they have a ready-made playoff type roster. Because let's be honest, they made the playoffs last year with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. So they're going to be looking at it. Okay, Mac Jones, 13-0 season, led the Alabama to the championship. We need to jump Washington if we want to do so. And the type of package they'd be getting or giving up in order to do so. From 2016, I'm not going to kill them. I think a 1-3 should be able to get it done here. So therefore, I'm going to make it happen here. The Chicago Bears are trading up to number 16 with the Arizona Cardinals with the intent of selecting Mac Jones, quarterback, Alabama. What are your thoughts on the pick?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think the type of quarterback they need is an efficient player, and this will all depend on whether they have Allen Robinson there or not. But if they keep Allen Robinson, if they franchise tag him or whatever the case is, you need someone who can get him the ball efficiently. You need someone who can get Darnell Mooney, who was missed a million times last year by Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky, the ball consistently. I think you just need kind of a point guard, game manager type quarterback. And not that I think that's all that Mac Jones can offer. I do think he has more than game manager potential, but he can be that right away, I think. So at the very minimum, you're going to have a guy that you're able to kind of structure the offense around, give the ball to David Montgomery, run play action, that kind of stuff. So I like the fit of Mac Jones to Chicago. I'm just not sure I would do this, obviously, but we have to keep it realistic to some.
100%. Again, you're looking at a guy similar in the division. Let's just look at Kirk Cousins with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, I do think that you get an infrastructure and a team around Mac Jones. I do think he can provide you fringe top 10 level production in the right system. So getting him at 16, if he ends up turning anything close to Cousins, you're going to be happy with that pick. So I agree. Anyways, the Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock here at 17. What are your plans?
Running to the podium to take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So
my
every time I
linebacker
watch games against Notre Dame, when I'm watching offensive players, I always see JOK all over the field. Like I haven't watched this guy in depth yet, but I kind of have to some extent because I'm like, oh yeah, there's number 6 again. He's number 6, right? I think.
Yeah.
And every time I'm watching another offensive player against Notre Dame, because they play a bunch of teams like Clemson and stuff, I'm trying to watch Travis Etienne, Amari Rogers or something. I'm like, man, number 6 is all over the field. This guy's got crazy range.
Yeah, this guy's like literally playing in the nickel. He'll guard your receiver down the field with no problem on one play, and the other play he's shooting into the backfield and tackling Etienne for a loss. It's like, what can't he do? He's my linebacker 1 for this very reason. His versatility is just tremendous. And you're talking about an Oakland team that has so many glaring needs on their defense.
They need a leader of that defense. Their defense, there was reports last year that they gave up or something like that. Defense, offense, whatever the case was. If that's the case, you need an alpha dog leader of your defense. You need your Devin White. You need your whoever you need your Bobby Wagner. You need your guy that is going to tell Damon Arnett to stop fucking around after practice or whatever. Be like, get the fuck, run your drills or whatever. You need that guy, that field general that's going to kind of help move everything into place. If you think of the best defenses over the past couple of years or even in the history of the NFL, all of them have that middle linebacker that is the field general. So JOK can be that for you. I think he's going to make a tremendous difference in that defense because every linebacker you've tried to add has been kind of a bust signing. Kwiatkowski wasn't that great. Corey Littleton took a huge step back from his time with the Rams. I think you need that dude, and I think JOK can be that guy.
100% agree. Anyways, you're back on the clock here as well. Number 18 overall with the Miami Dolphins. What are you looking at right here?
I got a lot of interesting.
There's 2 guys in particular for me.
Yeah, I think Christian Darrisaw is going to be the pick. I think the way you can structure your offensive line is really just get your best 5 out there kind of thinking, kind of philosophy with this pick. Whether you want Darrisaw to play left tackle and leave Austin Jackson to play right tackle, whether you want to move Darrisaw to right, you have a lot of versatility. You can move Hunt inside, who's currently your right tackle. You just kind of have just get your best 5 out there type of situation with their offensive line. And I think Darrisaw is a value at this pick. I think he probably is going to go higher than this.
100%. So with the 19th overall pick, the Washington football team is looking at the board. There's a few guys that they like. The one I'm going to go with is going to shock you guys. It's going to be one. I'm not going with Cosme.
Oh, you're not going with Cosme? Okay.
I'm going to have some fun with this. Again, this is a mock draft. What we can see and what we would like to see, really. Let's be honest here. We're a fantasy football base here.
Pick Rashad Bateman, are you?
Another receiver.
Are you going to pick Elijah Moore?
I'm going to give him Elijah Moore. You know what? Let him run your slot next to Terry McLaurin. And let me tell you, that team is going to be absolutely dynamic. Again, Rashad Bateman's probably the better overall receiver right now. But what Elijah Moore can do for your offense in terms of your the catchability, in terms of really being able to stretch a defense out, you already got Terry McLaurin being able to do that. Getting another absolute playmaker with the ball in his hands like Elijah Moore would just be absolutely dynamic and really give me nightmares as a Cowboys fan because we got 2 more physical outside type corners. We don't really have a guy that can cover the speed and movement abilities of guys like Terry McLaurin and Elijah Moore. So if I'm watching it, I'm looking at how the infrastructure of the NFCs in terms of their overall schemes, in terms of their overall players on the back end are set up. Give me 2 guys who, let's be honest, Elijah Moore should probably run in the high 4.3, low 4.4 area. You already got Terry McLaurin, who's a 4.35 type guy. Get guys who can just absolutely frighten defenses. And Elijah Moore does that for you in spades, really.
Yeah, and they're both they both are blue collar players too. I think the thing I love about Elijah Moore, and I think he's both of our wide receiver 5, so I think I can speak for both of us right now. I love him so much the way he plays. He's just super tough. He's a smaller guy, obviously,
smooth.
Right? But to me, he's everything that people think Kadarius Toney and Rondell Moore are. He's that quick feet, agility, yak ability that you see with the Rondell Moore truthers, and he's also that tough and physical thing that people like about Kadarius Toney. So I've seen a lot of people be really high on him. The range of outcomes for where people see Elijah Moore is really varied. And I think when you get a player like that, you're going to get a team that falls in love with him. And I think he definitely could go this high in the draft. So I like the pick of Elijah Moore at 19.
100%. So with that being said, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock here at 20. And I know they just signed JJ Watt. I fully get that. Guess what? Let's just offer a third. It was either going to be Phillips or Pay.
Okay.
Guess what? Let's get a third down package with Chandler Jones on the outside, JJ Watt on the inside, and then you're getting another young stud edge rusher on the outside to balance them. And you know what? Just because you said it, let's give it to him. Jaylen Phillips, edge rusher from Miami. Again, the main question I have with him is the health. The concussions are scary. If he has one more concussion, he's probably not going to be playing really ever again. But in terms of pure tape, he would be my edge one. I mean, what this guy does on a consistent basis, he knows he's an absolute technician off the edge. He's got great burst. He has great bend. I mean, this is the prototypical edge rusher you look for and hope can be that dominant force for your defense. Well, guess what? If you're Arizona, you could take the gamble on a guy of this amount of talent and plug him next to Chandler Jones, plug him next to JJ Watt. That pass rush can absolutely kill teams. So
that can carry your defense too. And you're probably like, I'm not really sure what they're going to do with Hassan Reddick. Obviously, if they bring back Hassan Reddick, or even if they franchise tag him, you'll have a decision to make whether you want to go edge in the draft or not. But I think Jaylen Phillips, from the people that I trust, I think everyone that I really like buy into their opinion has Jaylen Phillips as edge one. So I think you see like Jaylen Phillips has been one of the highest high school recruits in a long time at the edge position. So he has the natural talent. You mentioned the health concerns, but he has everything that you really want out of an edge, but you need to develop him basically is basically the way that you want to look at Jaylen Phillips. And I think, again, in a situation where he doesn't have to be the dude that needs to get after the quarterback all the time, he's the tertiary option to start. It's a good way to get him developed and ready for the NFL.
100%.
Yeah. So we have the Colts on the board, and they're friggin' running to the podium to take Sam Cosmi right now because they lost their offensive tackle, their left tackle of, 8-9 years, in Anthony Costanzo. You replace him with another guy that I think is one of those pro-ready type offensive tackles. Doesn't have the ceiling, obviously, that Penei Sewell has or something like that, but he's a guy who's been a starter for a while in college and should stabilize your left tackle position playing next to Quentin Nelson too.
Yep, 100%. I mean, I do agree that Cosmi should be the pick here. If he makes it to 21, again, the Colts are going to be absolutely thanking their lucky stars on this one.
Yep. And the Tennessee Titans now on the board. I think Jaylen Phillips is a perfect fit for them. But if you think, like, obviously Jaylen Phillips is off the board, I think he's more in a situation where he'd have to produce right away in Tennessee because they don't have the greatest edge rushers on that team as compared to Arizona. So I am going to take an edge rusher here because I do think it's by far and away their biggest need.
Ojulari or Pay?
I'm going to take Azeez Ojulari, actually, because I think he offers something that they're missing. I think in their edge rush kind of stable. They have Harold Landry, who I would define as like a smart player. He's more of like a speed rusher, but he also has that like intelligence to defend the run and stuff. I think Ojulari is more dynamic and can give you that edge one type potential on your defense, where I think a guy like Kwity Paye or Joseph Asai maybe is not as suited for that role as I think Ojulari might be.
Ojulari's bend is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw this guy throughout the season for Georgia absolutely dominate. I do think, again, him and Phillips are probably the true battle for edge one right now. Pay's not too far behind because, again, they're absolute prototypical go around the edge, dip under the tackle, get to the quarterback. They are incredible in that regard. And Ojulari, I don't think gets beaten by really anybody in this class when it comes to just sheer bend, sheer athleticism off the edge like that. So I do agree that Ojulari should be the pick here for the Titans. And you're on the clock here at 23.
I'm running to the podium again because Rashad Bateman's on the board. You need a number one receiver. Well, this is your dude. This Rashad Bateman, this would be a dream pick for the Jets. They need a guy to develop with their young quarterback in Zach Wilson, who I took at number 2. You got Rashad Bateman, who probably won't make it this far in the draft, in my opinion. I think he's probably going 19, 20-ish kind of range. But Rashad Bateman, we've talked about on numerous occasions, just a pro-caliber receiver. He just already knows what he's doing. He doesn't require a lot of coaching. And the reason that is because he had PJ Fleck at Minnesota, who was a wide receivers coach in the NFL. So he got NFL caliber coaching at his position. And I think his down season this year was more a product of some of the concerns that he had with injury. I believe he had coming into the season. I think his 2019 tape is what you want to go off of for the most part with Rashad Bateman, because he just wasn't used correctly this year. I think the way they used him was not to the fullest potential that he could have been used. And I think the type of receiver you're getting is that true X guy that Zach Wilson's going to need.
100%. Again, imagine New York Jets fans thinking about Zach Wilson throwing to Rashad Bateman right now are probably just in a dream. But let's be honest, we're going to make it a reality for y'all. With that being said, at 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock here. And what are your plans looking at this current state of the board?
There's like a lot of interesting ways I could go with this. I kind of want to make a little bold pick here. The Steelers are a team that really like athleticism and first round picks. And we just saw this guy blow up the radar gun. So I'm going to take Eric Stokes right here.
I like it.
I think maybe some people might think it's a little bit of a reach, but I think when you're getting that type of athlete, and for the record, they need a corner because they're losing like every corner that they have in free agency. They don't really have that much money to work with. They just restructured Ben's contract to free up some money. And they also have some extensions for Bud Dupree if they want to try and keep him. Looming extension for TJ Watt coming soon. I think you need to get younger on your back end and get good also and get fast on your back end, because with the pass rush that you have, you need a guy that can get to the ball. And I think Eric Stokes, the type of speed that he put up at his Exos or his Pro Day or whatever the heck that combine was, I think he does have legit burners. I think he's got 4.3, borderline 4.2 type speed.
Yeah, 100%. Again, what was that? A 4.25? Again, I'll bait like it's going to be time adjusted because of like
even if you add 0.05 to adjust for the fact that it was at Exos or whatever type.
So elite.
4.3 flat 40 for a corner is for, and a guy for Eric Stokes' experience level and his like his hips and like the type of ability he brings as a corner as well is the type of ceiling that you can envision for him as that like Denzel Ward type corner that you have in the division with Cleveland.
Yeah, 100%. So with that being said, the Jacksonville Jaguars are currently back on the clock here at 25 after taking said chosen one, Trevor Lawrence at number 1. What are you thinking here?
There's a lot of ways you can go with this pick because I think the Jags need a little bit of everything, to be honest.
Hey,
I don't really have. Is there anyone that wants to trade up? Because I don't really have a whole lot of.
I can look at it. So
anything.
Let me just take a look here at the current state of the NFC teams. What team needs an IDL? I can see a team trying to move up.
I mean, Kwity Paye's on the board.
Kwity Paye makes sense. Edge rush. There isn't many teams like that can get up within the range. Like maybe I don't even see the Giants doing it.
I'm gonna make a trade, an executive decision for myself. The Baltimore Ravens are gonna come up and get Kwity Paye to one-hop Cleveland, so that they don't take them. And the Baltimore Ravens are going to give up, I don't know, third-round pick in return to the Jacksonville Jaguars to move back from 25 to 27. The Baltimore Ravens are going to take Kwity Paye. You're losing both of your edge rushers in free agency, most likely, with Matt Judon coming off of a franchise tag season where he didn't really play all that well, and Yannick Ngakoue coming from Minnesota on initial trade from the Jaguars and then coming over to Baltimore halfway through the season. He didn't really give you what exactly you wanted. Maybe they keep one of those guys, but either way, you need two edge rushers that can get to the quarterback. Matt Judon's the much more complete guy, but he's a little bit older. Yannick Ngakoue has more sack production. He's a little younger, but he's not very good against the run. So I think Kwity Paye gives you a little bit more of a well-balanced game with whatever way you decide to go. So I'm going to go Kwity Paye, edge from Michigan to Baltimore at 25.
For the sake of my system, I put it in as a 1-5 for a 1-3.
Sure. Yeah.
There we go. With that being said, again, Kwity Paye, I do agree, is a great pick there. Unfortunately for Cleveland, they're on the clock, and their main target, in my opinion, has been taken. So what are you thinking here at 26th overall?
I think going with the theme of like pairing more underdeveloped players with some established veterans on the team that are already great players, I'm going to go with Christian Barmore here because I think
I like it.
Christian Barmore has a very, very high ceiling. From what I've seen of Christian Barmore from the people that I trust, they say he has kind of that, oh my God, moments on tape, but he doesn't do it consistently. And I think if you pair him on a defensive line with a guy like Myles Garrett, who is going to command so much attention, it just makes his job that much easier and it makes his transition that much easier. So I think you get a kind of a 1-2 punch with interior penetrator and then obviously the freak of nature that Myles Garrett is on the edge.
100%. So I'm actually looking at this 27th pick, and I'm Carolina. I'm kind of intrigued at maybe jumping a whole bunch of teams to secure a guy in Tevin Jenkins, who I think is probably one of the most upside tackles left in the draft. And uh, actually, I don't have any picks to do this with Carolina. Never mind.
Yeah, you don't. You already
I
traded
just
all
took
your
that in. Never
Yeah.
mind. Never mind. Never mind.
You know what? I actually am going to trade up again. Actually,
like it.
sorry. Do the Tampa Bay Bucks want to trade up? Because both
Sure.
of the running backs are on the board right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I think they're going to be interested in both of them. Personally, as a Bucks fan, the news I've heard from our media sources and from the people that are connected to the team, they love these two top guys, man. Like they're both really good. They bring that third down element that Tampa Bay's run game doesn't have for both guys. So if I'm the Jags, I think you're Tampa. What are you offering me? I'm still tactical.
Yeah, we're just gonna offer you our next 6 first-round pick. No, I'm kicks. Imagine. No, we'll give you our first rounder 32 and our third rounder 95.
All right, yeah, that sounds good.
All right, dope. And with that being said, again at number 27 overall here, it's really a pick your poison type. Do you want the speedy shiftiness of an Etienne, or do you want the more all-around game of Najee Harris? And I'm a nice guy. Bush, who do you want the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take based on fit?
I know what Bruce Arians likes, and the number one thing he looks for a third, because they're going to envision a third down role with also the intention of Rojo's going to be a free agent after this year. So you want a guy that can carry the workload as well. I think Travis Etienne, while he is much better, Najee Harris is much better as a receiver, I think Travis Etienne's ability to pass protect is something that they're going to really covet. So I'm going to I would pick Travis Etienne to pair with Rojo. And you got that. I mean, Rojo's pretty quick too, but you have a true thunder and lightning type situation with those two guys.
Sure. Congratulations, Bush. You got your running back. You need a running back?
Yeah, we do need a running back. And one that can actually catch the ball consistently and protect Tom Brady. So
hopefully it could be something like Nelly, eh?
Yeah, literally. He's got some speed like Maggot too.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, we're on the clock here and just looking at the board. There are a couple names that make a good amount of sense here. You could go corner. You could go potentially edge. I mean, Gregory Rousseau makes sense. But I'm looking at Nick Bolton here. And I know I'm losing a lot of true experience on my defense against Sheldon Rankins and Marcus Williams. You getting a true leader to pair next to Demario Davis, I do think makes a ton of sense for them. So with that being said, again, I do think Nick Bolton is a phenomenal player. And out of all the linebackers in this class, really, I think he's the most ready day one player. I think he can play Mike for you right off the bat, to be quite frank. So yeah, I'll put Nick Bolton here, and I'm not really going to think twice about it because I think he fits what the Saints want on their defense tremendously from both a leadership and a production standpoint right off the bat.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tevin Jenkins being an upside type offensive lineman. I think that's the direction I'm going to go. Or, well, sorry, you're on the clock with Green Bay. I think that's
going to be my pick.
Go with Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be taking Tevin Jenkins here. I do look at it. They could go cornerback here. I mean, Greg Newsome makes sense, but I do think it's a little tear bake from those top guys. Whereas Tevin Jenkins, I mean, he's gotten so much buzz recently, and it's valid. I mean, if you turn on that tape, Oklahoma State versus Texas. And as much as I love Joseph Osai, I mean, Tevin Jenkins made him look like an undrafted free agent that game. Toss him around like nothing. He is the most aggressive, fierce offensive lineman in this draft, quite frankly, in terms of a pure physicality standpoint. And guess what? You got a technician he can learn from in David Bakhtiari, who has had injury concerns in the past. It's never bad really investing into your offensive line position, especially you're in the late first round, you're getting a guy in Tevin Jenkins who can develop into an upper tier type starter. That's value any day of the week. And we've seen offensive tackles, aside from quarterback, are the most important position on offense. Just look at the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Credit to you, Bush. But with that being said, I mean, Tevin Jenkins is just going to slide in right away. And really, the Packers aren't going to think twice about that pick.
Yeah, I really like that fit. I think I'm not exactly sure. Who are they starting at right tackle this year?
I don't even know. I can check it.
Laga for the longest time, and then he's been gone. I don't even remember where he went, but he's not with the team anymore. So you need someone to play right tackle, and Bakhtiari obviously coming off of a pretty big injury too. So.
Yeah, if you want to know how much they needed a right tackle, their current slated starter is Billy Turner.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
yeah,
definitely could use a right tackle in that situation. So yeah, I really like that pick. And we have the Buffalo Bills on the clock at 30.
There's one guy that makes so much sense with Matt Milano gone.
Yeah, he does make a lot of sense.
Or Najee Harris.
Najee Harris makes a lot of sense too. I'm going to take Xavier Collins.
That was the guy I was referring to. Yeah, I like it. I mean, Zayvon Collins is such a versatile defensive piece. I mean, he can offer you that off-ball type production. He has edge rush type traits if you need him to come off the line of scrimmage. And you got an athletic beast in Tremaine Edmonds. Why not add another to that defense with what Zayvon Collins can give you? I do think that's a very good pick and a very good value over here at 30th overall. So I like it. I like it a lot.
And we are on the clock with Kansas City at 31. I'm looking at the board right now. I honestly am not too excited about the options that are there. I think the direction that they're going to go is probably somewhere on the offensive line, if I had to guess, for Kansas City, because they have so they obviously dealt with some issues in the Super Bowl in their interior, as well as some of their tackle play as well, and mainly just they need depth in general. But there's a team that wants to come up right now, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers want to come up because Najee Harris is on the board. So I am going to make the trade as controller of both AFC teams that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to give up their 2 and 3 to come up with Kansas City for pick 31 and draft Najee Harris, running back from Alabama. Now, there is reports that Pittsburgh is really hot on Javonte Williams that came up today. And I really believe that. I definitely think he's a Steelers type of runner. But Javonte Williams is probably they're hot on him as a second rounder, if I had to guess. It wouldn't shock me if Javonte Williams went in the first round and the NFL even valued him higher than either Etienne or Harris, because I think the type of player that he is very like old school GM type. And the Steelers kind of fit that description. But I'm going to take Najee Harris because I believe he's the best running back on the board. And I think he just adequately replace whatever they got in that situation right now.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm looking at Jacksonville right here at 30.
I think I want to take and pick with Jacksonville personally.
Really? Okay. I was gonna offer 35 and 108 from Falcons to move up.
Really? You want to come get Javonte Williams, huh?
Yeah.
We want to get 3 running backs in the first round. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to pick Trayvon Mooring, safety from TCU.
I like it.
I think this is a guy that I've seen not mocked, but I know Peter Schrager, I think he released like his top 10 prospects in the draft. As much as Peter Schrager's like Good Morning Football guy, but he had Trayvon Mooring as like his 6th rated prospect in the draft. And that's not the first time I've seen something like that where people think Trayvon Mooring is like this really, really, really good prospect. And I think he's going to either go in the early first round or he's going to go like midway through the second. I don't think there's any in between with him, but Jacksonville needs some more talent on their defense. They obviously have a very young defense right now, and I think they can continue to add to that with a guy like Trayvon Mooring.
Yeah, I mean, you get a guy with single high versatility that could really provide coverage on the back end. I do think Mooring here at 32 makes a ton of sense for a team like Jacksonville. You got the offensive infrastructure with Trevor Lawrence and you guys got another one. Oh, no, that was the pick you traded back. Regardless, you got Trevor Lawrence.
And they got 2 3s out of that because they traded down twice. Yeah. So you picked up 2 third-round picks, and you still got a guy. I don't think anyone would have batted an eye if I took Trayvon Mooring at 23 or 25 or wherever I was picking. So, I mean, you get 2 extra third-rounders out of it. So I think that's a win for Jacksonville because they need a lot of things.
Yeah, elite play by them. But that being said, I hope you guys made it this far in the video and enjoyed the process. If you guys made it this far and you liked what you've seen thus far, what's stopping you from hitting that like button? What's stopping you from commenting NFL draft to show that you made it this far in the video? Go do those things. We really appreciate you guys' support all in all. With that being said, any closing thoughts you have prior to getting out of here, Bush?
Yeah, if you guys are fantasy players who are watching this and not NFL draft fans, and you want access to the best draft guide on the market, best rookie guide, best dynasty guide, you can check out the link in the description to our website and watch the video on the homepage to find out everything that's in our rookie and dynasty draft guide. We've gotten great feedback so far from those of you that have purchased it, and we really appreciate that feedback and testimonials that we've gotten personally. So if you guys are interested in that, maybe you're dynasty players, or you just want more information on the rookies, you can go check that out.
100%. That being said, peace out, y'all.